Welcome to Behind the Show. My name is Aaron Amadeus, joined with Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, former WWE superstars who have experienced what we are going to talk about today. Welcome to the Behind the Show. Guys, happy Saturday.
Oh, yeah. A little special broadcast.
Little breaking news. Didn't see this coming.
Broadcast.
I got to go get a haircut very soon. First haircut in 2 years almost.
Wow.
But no.
Mullet?
No.
Go with the mullet.
Going conservative.
Please go with the mullet.
Keeping it long.
Please go with the mullet.
I mean, it might turn into a mullet.
I hope it's a mullet.
Might turn in now. I put us on the side over here, so we're not taking up the full screen. Let's just get to the chase here, and then if anybody wants to get in the show right now, please email us theshowrules@gmail.com. We'll get you in the show. We would love to hear your thoughts on the WWE and what has now transpired. WWE I can't speak, it's Saturday. WWE has come to terms on the release of Bray Wyatt, and they wish him all his best in his future endeavors. For those who don't know the name Bray Wyatt, he is one of the most polarizing, athletic, creative, gifted superstars in wrestling, and he is the person under the mask of the Fiend. Yeah. And this is huge news. I didn't think we would see this coming on a Saturday. I'll be honest with you.
No, how could you?
No.
How could you?
What did I want to say? Like on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. Alone on a Saturday. Like
Saturdays
makes you wonder why they chose to do it today. You know, did something happen?
I mean, we don't know. Like it's tough to know what the full extent of the story is, but whatever it is, it's pretty surprising. Like, look, is there anybody more creative and under the WWE umbrella of the last at least decade? Like the stuff
that guy, he's been there a long time, like over 10 years, right? Was he in that original Nexus?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He was.
So I'm sure he was there like a couple years before that as well. So this guy,
and if you look on Twitter right now, now all gone, and they're referring to some of the member. I mean, the whole member of the Bryan family. I mean, the Wyatt family. Excuse me. I mean, this is shocking news to me on a Saturday. And when you think about the dynamics, you think about CM Punk, Daniel Bryanson coming to the AEW. You think about Bianca Belair. You think about Sasha Banks making her return last night, which I have an opinion on. I'm going to get one of your thoughts on as well. And then you know Daniel Bryan, and then you just think, Daniel Bryan, and then you think Bray Wyatt, and then you think, literally, they are bringing Goldberg back, and they have a storyline with Goldberg at SummerSlam, but you can't do something with the Fiend.
Well, I think they could. Obviously, they could. There's something else at play here.
Yeah,
there's something else going on.
There has to be, because I mean, I don't think the classic creative has nothing for you can really apply in this one. Because if there's anybody that you can figure out creative for, or somebody can help you figure out creative, it's a guy like Bray.
There's something going on, and we don't know what it is, right? Yet. I'm sure it'll come out in the days or weeks to come,
or it won't,
and
it'll just be on to the next.
Or maybe it was just a cost-cutting measure, right? I'm sure he's on a pretty big, sizable contract.
Gotta believe.
So his last match that we saw him was at WrestleMania. Yep. We saw him against Randy Orton, and that really odd finish. I mean, listen, I'm all about the performers. I think Bray Wyatt is an amazing performer. I think Alexa Bliss, amazing performers. They're not, and that's the problem. And I'm going to say this so you guys don't have to. I mean, they're not, just like yourself, you guys are not in charge of the creative process, right? No. You are not the ones making the decisions on, here's how the match is going to go. This is long-term booking. This is what we're going to do. And, these performers are a victim of circumstances. Like the Alexa Bliss stuff at WrestleMania when Bray Wyatt came out and he lost that match, which made no sense. And he lost it because he looked over at Alexa Bliss and she had obviously some, black stuff coming from her face. And it was just, none of it really made sense. But now...
Again, is there a reason for that? Right? Is there a reason that they switched that gimmick over to Alexa Bliss?
Because she just basically took everything that Fiend was and went over to it.
And he hasn't been on TV since then?
Yeah. No, he hasn't showed up.
So what's that, 3-4 months?
How would you deal with this?
So is it a surprise? When you really break it down,
I don't think
everybody was
anything's a
thinking that he
surprise
was going to
anymore.
make a return,
Sure.
right? And so if you're a wrestling fan, and I suggest once again, email the show, get on the show. How would you have dealt with this? What questions do you have right now? If you're in the chat right now, we will answer any of your questions. We got a lot of people. Let's just read some of the stuff right away from Steve.
Yeah, get it out there.
So I'm pissed. When you guys get released at this point, it feels embarrassing and disgust. This place is lost, and it would be that some type of shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a giant company, you know what I mean, and things like that happen. What are you going to do?
It's strange because
It's the same as Braun Strowman getting let go a couple months back. Like,
sure, or any
You
like,
know?
look, if you want to bring it down to like sports, right? There's sports teams that restructure,
Sure.
like so they're going to get rid of a lot of your favorite players
football, right? Like at any point, they cut stars all the time.
all the time.
All the time.
It's certainly strange. Like it's yeah. Could you now look at it, and be like, oh, okay, I can see that coming. And there's so much going on lately that things that don't make sense absolutely make sense in this strange little shift period. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, this
So,
is
I mean,
crazy.
You look at guys like yourself. I mean, unfairly or not fairly. I mean, released from the WWE when you've got your whole talented the next 15 years ahead of you. So I'm not concerned on that end. But you look at yourself and then you see, hey, listen, maybe they, you can think what you want that they made a decision to release you, but then all of a sudden they made a decision to release Bray Wyatt, and they recently released his brother as well. I mean, none of this stuff,
And his father last year.
none of this stuff is making sense, and I'm lost. And some people are on the chat right now, and for the 45 people live in the show, share this show, subscribe right now, share this out because we want to talk wrestling. We want to talk right now. This is your chance to talk about a major former WWE Universal Champion who's just been released by the WWE hours ago by two other individuals who literally were just released by the WWE within 60 days. This is a conversation that if you have the ability to get involved on, email us right now, theshowrules@gmail.com. Get in the show. I want to hear what everybody has to think about this release. What does it actually mean? What is your thought? What do you think? And this is to the audience and yourself as well.
We have a group chat going, and like somebody made a point of they're flooding the marketplace.
There's a big part of that, right?
Like, so you overload the marketplace and AEW and other places. You can't take everybody. You know what I mean?
And if you do, you spread yourself really thin. Obviously, knowing that, obviously with AEW, there is a lot of money behind that. But now, how much of that overall money, it's not all just going to be funneled into AEW. There's obviously a budget. And Impact, it's run as companies. They have budgets, not just because the market opens up. Do they all of a sudden have all this extra money to throw around?
What do you think? You think like Bray Wyatt, does he want to continue wrestling? I don't know. Right? This guy, he's got all sorts of kids. He's got 3-4 children.
Hold on. There are so much stuff going on in the chat. I apologize if we're not reading these comments as quickly as we can. There is a lot of people.
Wrestle
Scoop. Actually, John had just mentioned something in here. This is becoming okay. First of all, we need your help if you want to join the show. We need a couple of mods. All you have to do is just mod, right? That's it to help us with this. But there are a lot of things going on. Some people are saying they're hoping that he's okay. That there could be something medically. There could be. I don't know. I want to
release you if you have a medical issue like that. There's no way, unless it's like substance abuse.
They released you with a pregnant wife at home. I'm sorry.
No. I get that.
I'm sorry. That's my personal opinion. But
if
it's a medical condition.
If you were hurt in a WWE ring, they're not going to release.
But what if he was okay? What if he had the all clear? Okay, let's just say he had a Jonathan Drouin, so any hockey fans know.
Right, I got you.
A little bit of stress, anxiety, or whatever. And who could blame somebody if that is the case? Who can blame somebody every time you have an idea for a character and it gets over, and then all of a sudden the company says, "Yeah, we love that, but sorry, it's not going to work for you," and then they change plans because obviously this guy is so.
I don't know if that's what happened with the Bray Wyatt character though. That guy had so many opportunities, big position matches, right?
But he's not booking
year
the
after
matches.
year after year. No, but everybody has a place, right?
There's
And
also
maybe
there's a lot of start and go with it. So how do you ever
that's
really
everybody
gain
though.
steam?
That's everybody, right?
For
Ask
sure.
Dolph Ziggler.
But I can understand how when you're that creative into something like, so obviously this guy's creating not only just like a character that can be put in a wrestling match, he's creating like this little mini world, especially this version of the Fiend. So I can understand how when you have that vision, and that's the downside to not doing 100% as your own thing, is that you can present exactly what you want, but it's even like making a movie. Like I have this idea for a movie, but the producers are going to be like, no, this, and this.
Sometimes when you're so unique in that way, they don't know what to do with you.
No idea.
Like, what's he going to do? Win every match? Can't win every match. Or like, I don't know.
We've got we have a lot of people who are going to be coming on the show right now. Just letting you know, there's
guys, like and subscribe.
Tell your friends about the show.
The algorithm. Word of the day.
This is going to be very interesting. Sorry about the Habs as captain. This is.
You get a moderator. We need you.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be helping out. I promise you, and we are going to love that. A lot of people are asking right now to read some of the tweets. So let's share the screen right now and let's read some of these tweets from some of the other superstars in the WWE. And I feel for them. I mean,
well, everybody's on edge now. Nobody knows what's going on, right?
Well, that's the
thing. We were there 30 days ago, literally 37 days ago. We were still in that company, and everybody's on eggshells all the time. Yeah. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Then you add
nobody knows if the next call is going to be them.
Because that's it. Could this lead to a whole bunch on Monday or tomorrow or later this afternoon?
Or maybe it won't happen for a year. Nobody
exactly.
knows,
at this point, it's just the Wild West.
This is nuts.
Let's look on the screen over here as we can. Bray Wyatt. Let's see if we can go on his actual Twitter and see what some of the people are saying.
Guys, I haven't eaten all day. I need to get some food. You want Uber Eats or what?
Yeah, and you know what? Look at his pinned tweet from May 18th. Miss me yet? Man, that is
nobody knows what's around the corner.
No,
I'll tell you that from experience.
Don't have a clue,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
like so. There's rumblings here about them saying it was possibly him asking for his release, which could have been possible.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, certainly could have been possible.
And maybe it was because he's so frustrated. How could you not be frustrated if you're that type of individual with that talent?
I mean, I don't know, $1 million contract. I'd be
that would quell my frustration.
I don't know, and it's not like he wasn't going to be back in the mix again. Of course, he was going to be back in the mix.
So where do you? Let's look. I'd love to get some ideas on what people think is going on. Let's look. Chelsea Green, very confused. Why me being supportive of Bray Wyatt? Piss people off on Twitter, because of me. And Chelsea Green, I think she's a world-class talent.
Friend of the show.
Chelsea
Green. There you go.
You could go back and watch your Chew of the Week a couple weeks ago.
Great Chew of the Week.
She's great Chew of the Week.
Little cursing. Little off her rocker, Chelsea Green.
Hey, that's okay. Any day of the week. Just on this show when my 9-year-old's there. Chris Bay, whole-time Bray Wyatt. Set move is Blaze whole time. I mean, listen, he lost his championship belt to Goldberg. What does that tell you? I mean, I'm sorry to say, but
it tells you they didn't think he was enough of a draw in that position that they needed Goldberg. That's what it tells you.
And it always goes back to that a lot of the time. Look, Kevin lost to Goldberg. Like a lot of people have lost to Goldberg. It's just the cycle of things where I don't know if anything really matters.
And sometimes the company is set in its ways in the old ways. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because it's proven, right?
What do you think this over here? Bray Wyatt should be the next leader of the Dark Order.
That gif of Brody warms my
heart.
I miss that dude so much.
Would there be anybody else that could fill that role? And if you think, hey, listen, I'm just going to take a creative guy, and if he ever wants to wrestle, he can put him in there. Or if he just wants to be the figurehead in that spot, put him in there in the Dark Order.
It certainly
it feels
to me. It feels
like it's been done.
That's what I was going to say. It's certainly a fit, but I feel like there's more that can be done than that.
Yeah.
Like
give us something new. Give us something
if you're going to pick this guy up, because you know he's going to come with something else. If this is where he ends up, right, wherever he ends up, he's going to have something else.
Mm-hmm.
And,
what is that character that everybody talks about? The Undertaker's son, the Mortuary? Is that the
Mortician?
The Mortician, excuse me, the Mortuary. The Mortician. Hey, listen, why? I mean, Bray Wyatt. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, obviously, but from being someone from a business point of view, watching the WWE, looking at how someone is progressively coming up with new ideas for a character, he is a very smart guy. I mean, he was able to tap into a lot of different ideas that were not necessarily something that you would normally get pitched to. I mean, the whole mask, the Fiend, everything that I've read, and you guys can confirm or deny, was always that he came up with these things.
Clearly.
Yeah, maybe.
Clearly. Like I can't see in the way things are done now, I can't see them fleshing out a character like this. Like maybe there's a presentation of like, hey, we need a repackage.
I guess he loved horror movies.
Clearly.
Right?
Clearly.
Like horror movies, right?
Well, the guy who did the Fiend mask is Tom Savini, who's a guy who was a big in the 80s special effects and does a lot of the creature effects and masks and stuff like that. So he went to a source of horror movies, so clearly a major influence.
No, like Jonathan over here. Maybe you guys bully Aaron a bit more.
Johnny Boy,
friend of the show, bully Aaron. That's
okay.
Of the show. Share the link right now. We want to get everybody's opinion. If you're a wrestling fan, get involved right now. We're going to start opening up the
boys, ladies, let's go.
We got John who's going to come on in a second. Very good friend of the show. Really loves what he does. WrestleScope, awesome, and everybody should start following him. Not Scoop, but everybody should start following him too. Because listen, what we're trying to do on this show, the show rules and behind the show, is we are creating a community. It's not us talking to you, it's us talking with you. And that is the major difference between us and other individuals. And I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. Once again, if you want to be on the show right now, the show rules at gmail.com. And I promise you, we will get that echo sorted out and fixed out when one day I'm gonna buy Matt and Jeff some what are they the little pods over here?
We got on Amazon. It's coming.
Oh, okay.
We got the thing, but I do need.
I was just gonna buy.
Aaron, I do need a new pair of earphones though.
Yeah.
Okay, but I got that.
I've been buying bibs.
There you go. I got the underwear for you. Don't worry, it's coming soon.
For yourself.
Let's go right now to John. John, welcome to the show, buddy.
Welcome
hey
back.
Guys, how's it going?
Very good.
The microphone is actually working today for the first time out.
Thank you.
So
we're figuring it out.
Not Scoop.
Hold on, Matt, I got something for you here.
Very nice.
From the 1991 Flair set. I thought of you right away with those Montreal Expos.
The Dennis Martinez years.
That is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
very nice.
I got to tell you,
I
was shocked when I heard this news. I was out this morning. I was driving to go pick up my daughter from camp, came home, fired up the computer. It was literally 15 minutes after the story broke about Bray Wyatt. And I jumped on and did a live stream just like everybody else is doing today. And, you know, I put in the comments, it seems like there's kind of a disconnect between people. There's one group that's saying, including Dave Meltzer and Wrestling Observer Online, is saying that Bray Wyatt was cut because of budget cutbacks. Mm-hmm. There's another faction
after the record profits, right?
Yeah, after the record profits. Which,
by the way, I want to add in one thing because I watched the show this morning from the guys on the Saturday show. If you think that the record profits for the earnings for Q2 was great, look into the EBITDA on the numbers that the WWE did, and
that is a word I've never heard in my life before.
It's okay, yeah. The EBITDA numbers are phenomenal. This company is doing very well. So this is shocking to me that
they're not losing money.
I'm sorry, John, to interrupt you on that.
No, that's okay, Aaron. And if this was budget cutbacks, why was it only Bray Wyatt? Now, I know that they had released some people on the corporate level and marketing again a couple of days ago, but why was he the only talent?
A month ago.
Yeah, why was he the only talent this time?
It's been a couple groups, right? So I don't think they did it all at once. It's been, in parts over the last couple months.
It doesn't make sense. I believe just with everything that's been going on with him for the last really 18 months, Bray Wyatt asked for his release. He has never fully recovered mentally from the loss of Brody Lee. You know, they were close personal friends. It was like losing a family member to him. I think that, and just the fact that WWE obviously doesn't know what to do with him creatively, he kind of had enough and just needed to get away. We don't know the whole story right now because obviously we're only, 3.5 hours removed from the story breaking. And I'm sure we're going to find out things hopefully in the next couple of days. And maybe Maybe Wyndham Rotunda will come out and say something himself. I'm hoping he does.
I don't personally. I don't care too much for the narrative that he wasn't used properly. Like, this guy was champion. He was pushed to WrestleManias. He was on everything. Like, I don't know what more we could have done. The company could have done. You know what I mean? I thought they used him great. To his potential, full potential.
But I could also
what more do you want?
Right, but I could just see how people feel that way with the stop and go stuff. Yes, that's everybody, and it's just the way it is. But I can understand that as a fan, if that's your guy, like you were invested in this character and they pull the rug out, I can understand how that can be frustrating.
Not everybody.
Okay, well, but you got to look at it from a business perspective. Number one, he has a character that is, for a mature audience. That's number one. So does that fit with Fox, and does that fit with NBC Universal? That's question number one. Number two, his merchandise. Now you're limited because the WWE is still not a mature audience. Does it limit the sale of his merchandise to a specific demographic that they're not going after? These are all things that corporation will sit down and say, okay, the potential of the amount of money we can make from him could be X amount, or we can invest it in a Bianca Belair, for an example, and it could be 20 times that because we can actually promote her, right? Versus how are they going to promote Bray Wyatt and the Fiend? And even when SmackDown started on Fox, the whole talk was that the Fox executives came out, and I know this for a fact. The Fox executives came out and said, we want Bray Wyatt, we want the Fiend on television, but they had concerns with the mask. They had concerns with that character being between 8 and 9 p.m. This is exactly what happened between the executives.
A lot of masters.
I worked in the content industry for over 8 years. I know this for a fact. Fox had issues with that. They didn't mind anything 9 and up, but between 8 and 9 p.m., they had issues with that.
See, and that's something that kind of fails to be recognized sometimes. It's like, it's easy to just go, the writers suck, right? It's so easy to just go, the writing sucks. But you have to realize that the writers are servicing, to their head writers in the department who go to producers, who go to Vince, who also is going to corporate America, like sponsors, advertisers, shareholders. All of this stuff does have a trickle-down effect. So to your effect, maybe that is 100% what happened when sometimes they go, we got to curb this. Who knows? But that is something that's definitely worth – you have to at least pay in mind to this is something that the world of WWE being a publicly traded company needs to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Aaron, let me ask you this then. If that's the case with Bray Wyatt, then why are they doing things that they're doing with Alexa Bliss? How much different is it? Okay, take the mask out of the equation. I understand the mask argument, but look at her character and some of the things that she has done over the last 5 or 6 months. How is that really any different than Bray Wyatt?
So I will answer on two questions. One, the issue with, remember, 2 networks. Okay, so Alexa Bliss is with NBC Universal, right? NBC Universal is much more open to a different demographic right now. They had sports, they had all those other things, which Fox is really getting away from at this point. Actually, no, sorry, it's the other way around. But I would suggest on a Monday night, the audience is very different than on a Friday night when your children are at home and you have the whole weekend, right? So as networks look at these things, they look at that, they look at the syndication, they look at West Coast versus East Coast, right? So they're going to say, hey, not only are kids watching this at 9 o'clock and 8 o'clock on a Friday on the east side of the United States, but hey, it's 5 o'clock for the kids watching it on the West Coast. These are things that people in the networks that they talk about. And the WWE sits there as a company and they have to say, okay, we've got everything pretty much tied into 2 major networks, NBC and Fox. What is going to work on what network and what is going to work on another? We've seen this with other major promotions before. Certain things work when WWE was very successful. What networks were they on? Right? Those are questions you have to pose as well from a content perspective. Now, going back and so Jeff, I agree with you on a certain part with what you're saying. You can't blame the writers because at the end of the day, everybody reports to somebody, right?
That's right.
Everybody either reports to Vince or, Vince has a creative idea. And I hate this when people are like, oh, Vince is out of touch. Listen, he's running $1 billion company. I mean, the WWE's record profits. How out of touch is he? He's just.
Well, I think they mean creatively, maybe, but
then again, how out of touch is he if he's able to score these amazing deals, right? But the writers are writing to what, if you're in a company and at the end of the day, the person who's in charge of a department says, "I need you to write content based on this,"
you service
you're going to do that. You're going to do that job. You're not
100%.
hiring Hollywood writers. You're hiring people with a little bit of experience to sit there to work with wrestlers. Like a Bray Wyatt, like an Ever Rise at that time, and say, okay, great. Your match is this. The storyline is this. We're going to give you these a few words to say, and it's going to have to hit X, Y, and Z in terms of what we're trying to do for you long-term booking. Now, the question is going to come down to, was Bray Wyatt given the opportunity to succeed in the WWE?
Obviously, yes.
I think,
historically speaking, Jeff,
100%,
Matt, he was the champion.
Come on.
He led one of the most successful factions.
Dude, years and years.
Phenomenal. But there's a big giant but. When you have someone who's riding a lot of momentum, which, John, if I could surmise, that's probably what you were saying. This individual was rising, had so much momentum at his back, at his sails. And what did they do with it? They didn't take it. They didn't seize that opportunity. So why do you stop a train when it's moving so quickly, right? You only stop it for an emergency because it's really hard to restart that train afterwards. So,
and a lot of that has to do with sorry to interrupt.
That's
what the big
my
complaint
dialogue
that people have about WWE right now is there's no long-term booking. It seems like, there will be certain things that they do, but there's really no thought 3, 6, 9 months out that it's just, oh, we're going to do this show. Oh, and that, we're going to do this. Then we're going to pivot and do something else. I know that's not the case all the time. I'm sure that there are people sitting down in creative that are, looking at, okay, what are we going to do for SummerSlam leading into Survivor Series this year, leading up to Royal Rumble. And there's a lot of that. But, the start and stop with him and everything else, it just, it puts a red flag up about, there could be personal issues at play that we don't know about. Yeah.
Things that we don't know what's going on. What's like his family life or who knows, right?
Sure.
All these things factor in and we have no idea about them.
Sure.
And if that is the case, if there have been the reports about him, having mental health issues, whether it's regarding Brody Lee's death or anything else, I sincerely hope that if that is the case or part of the issue, that he is talking to somebody, that he's getting help, that, the people closest to him are surrounding him and giving him the support, because that's the thing he needs more than anything else right now. He doesn't need anybody telling him, oh, go to AEW, go to Impact, go to New Japan. This is what you should do. We need to be surrounding him like many of the stars, many of his former coworkers have been doing on Twitter, as you showed before, giving him the support that he needs right now, because that's the most important thing. It's not, guys like me or anybody else saying, oh, you were mistreated by WWE. Oh, they didn't do this with your character. You need to go here. We need to give Wyndham Rotunda, the man, the person, the father, the support that he needs right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that's always what it is. Like, there's always a divide. We're still all human beings. And
Yes.
you got to assume that a dude like that, as creative as he is, he still wants to be involved in wrestling, or if he chooses something else in life, he's going to be successful, whatever he is. So, hey.
And to touch on the momentum of the character again, it's like not all characters can be pushed at the same time, right? Like maybe they wanted to push Drew at that time, Bobby Lashley, like they have other plans for other people. Not everybody can get the big push at the same time.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So like some guys get put on the back burner and then cycle in and out.
It's just, to me, there's something else that's got to be going on. And listen, at the end of the day, if it is something personal with the individual, then it's none of our businesses. And that he's been so successful, he can do whatever he wants in life.
And just what we're saying earlier, I was just going through the chat. Omar's just saying, I think Bray would do great in acting. He absolutely would.
Yes,
Obviously,
directing.
Obviously, an affinity for horror movies. So that would be a natural fit. You know what? Okay, maybe you take something like the Fiend character or like the Eater of Worlds, and you can easily be in a horror movie with that. So that's something. That's absolutely.
Yeah. So coming from you, Matt and Jeff, when you hear that a wrestler has come to terms with the WWE, and it's either initiated by one party, and then they've gone to the next. WWE saying, "Hey, listen, we don't have much to do. You know what? Would you be open to a buyout or whatever that could be?" Or him coming to them and saying, "You know what? Maybe that is best for both of us." When you see the way that it's written, it is written very, very, very interestingly. The way that it's written from a public relations person, marketing guy, there's a lot to read into the way that the WWE released that statement. And then when you read comments from like Alexa Bliss, and we'll go through some of these stuff that's on Twitter. But when you see that the way that they wrote it, what's the first thing that pops into your mind in terms of a release? Did he?
I haven't even had a chance to see the message yet. Could you read it out?
Yeah, I will read it out for you right now. Sorry, I'm just sharing this on the screen as we go.
Got any comments
WWE has come to terms on the release of Bray Wyatt. We wish him the best in all his future endeavors. So so
that's a standard run-of-the-mill message, right?
Well,
That's
no, but it isn't. Remember, WWE has come to terms on the release.
They always say that. They always say come to terms.
Certainly seen that before.
Yeah.
But don't they typically give the actual real name of the person in a case like this? In most cases, don't they do that?
They will do the I've seen
also I don't know.
Bray Wyatt is known to fans, and also he wears a mask. I mean, I could see it from that point of view, and just in case
you're saying the character name, the IP that you own, because not everybody. Well, I mean, most people do know real names.
Do they sometimes give the real names?
I can't say for sure, but it just
like Bo Dallas. They said Bo Dallas, right?
So nothing out of that message seemed out of the ordinary. But like, of course, look, they just want to put it in a nice, tidy package, and not saying if this was the case, they're not going to say Wyndham Rotundo asked for his release and we granted it to him. You know what I mean? Like, you're still going to want to just put your normal statement out, save face as your company, because it's not just wrestling fans looking at this. It's so much more than just the hundreds of thousands or millions of
let's show this and sorry to interrupt you there, Jeffy boy. Let's show this tweet from Alexa Bliss, obviously Alexi Kaufman. I am really at a loss for words. Thank you so much, Windham, for everything you've done for this company. The most fun I've had is working with you. Such an amazing talent and the most kind person. I am just in shock. So, I mean, obviously everything she's going to write is pretty standard at that point, except the last part. I'm just in shock. They worked very close together for a long time. So I would make the assumption that if there was something going on, she knew that he wasn't happy, or vice versa. That last line sticks with me personally.
And maybe they had plans moving forward. I don't know.
It's all speculation, really. Like we could say whatever we want to think about it, but
I mean, I'm sure it just shocked everybody.
Yeah,
right. And forever, nobody saw this coming. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some more. I know, John, you're sitting here as well. I'm trying to find some more quotes here from wrestlers on Bray Wyatt. Let's just see what we can find here. And remember, if you want to get on the show, all you have to do is email us, theshowrules@gmail.com. 2 questions for everybody. What do they think happened? And number 2, how would you have booked the Fiend a little bit differently, moving forward with all this amazing momentum that's going on right now in professional wrestling? That's something interesting. I'd love to get everybody's perspective on. And John, since you're on the line right now, we'll ask you first. How would you have booked Bray Wyatt or the Fiend right now in with all the momentum that's going on in wrestling today?
Well, honestly, first of all, we never got a follow-up to what happened at WrestleMania and the Raw after WrestleMania. We ended up, yikes. There we go. We had Alexa Bliss turn on Bray Wyatt on the Fiend at WrestleMania, and he disappeared, and we never got a follow-up on that. I would have maybe not put him in the main event scene, much like Drew McIntyre kind of took over the main event scene on Raw, and he was in all but I think 2 title matches from what was it, WrestleMania last year until just a couple of months ago. You have him involved in a feud. I'm not even sure who else it would be. I would have loved to have seen Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor again. I would have loved to have seen that when Finn Balor come back to the main roster a little bit earlier and have those two have something going on. But I probably would have kept him away from the main event, from the title scene for a little bit. Maybe have him lift up somebody like a Damian Priest. Damian Priest versus the Fiend would have been a very interesting feud as well.
Somebody's got to lose, right?
Somebody has to lose. Yeah, somebody has to lose. And Bray Wyatt could afford to take some losses and something like that, and it's not going to hurt him. It's not going to hurt him as a performer, as a character, especially if it's building up somebody else. Or maybe we see him build a new family again. You know, we saw, you mentioned it before, we saw how great he did with Brody Lee when he was in WWE, with Eric Rowan, with Braun Strowman. You know, he could have built up another group. Somebody else that they definitely dropped.
There's a lot of stuff that could have been done.
This
guy, because he's damn good.
Thanks,
he's really good.
Yeah.
What about having the new group, and it would have been with the show rules? The show rules would have done all the
talking. That would have been something. Now we're talking.
Something.
Yes.
Certainly
that's
something.
Right. That's right. Let's get Bray on the show.
Yes.
What would Bray Wyatt have been chewing? Would have been gum, or would have been he would be chewing something else?
Chewing ass. God, let's have some fun, boys. It's Saturday night. Come on.
That's amazing. And you know what? We are going to try our best. And to everybody who's watching this, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are going to try our best. Oh my God.
Well,
Aaron's having a rough one here.
Going from chewing ass to breasts now. Way to go, guys.
We had a big steak. It's been a long night. I'm just going to say we are going to try our hardest at getting Bray to come on the show. Obviously not Bray, but we're going to try and just talk, right? Because we are not a dirt show where you're going to sit here and tell us this, what happened. Like, no. We want to talk to people. We're excited about learning new things about people. You know what? Hearing from Matt and Jeff about like getting into directing, that is cool. I want to know more about that, right? The excitement, because you're in a production environment like, Matt and Jeff, you guys talked about, like, you probably have more experience seeing cameras and the angles that they want to do in the WWE. Like, you probably have more experience in directing than half the people.
We got a master's degree in production at WWE. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially when we at the Boneyard, which I mean, we talked all about it. We did telling stories about it, but that was a short film.
Or even like when we were doing the SmackDowns at the PC and stuff, right? Yep. Stu taking us aside and showing how everything works. Yeah. It was great.
Remember the Boneyard match? Matt and Jeff were a couple of minions that were almost
a couple
druids.
Yeah, get it right, Aaron.
Druids. I
watch the program.
I do watch the program. So they were some druids that on one of their shows talked about how they almost killed the Undertaker in real life. And
we did telling stories about it. It's in the there's a playlist about it if you want to check that out.
Before we move on to that, did either of you know that that Mark Calloway, the Undertaker, had, when he was filming, had just been told he lost his brother?
I saw that.
We found out afterwards
when that series came out.
But that day, you would have never known. You would have never known. You know, a true professional.
Wow,
Daniel, that definitely shows the kind of professional that he is.
Fiend of the show.
I love that. Popped me. Fiend of the show.
John's a fiend of the show.
Fiend of the show.
Yeah. John, listen, we're gonna let you go, but we're gonna connect soon, because I'd love to have you, do a 5-minute news of the week while we do behind the show. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And,
absolutely.
Yeah,
you know where to find me.
I should talk to my partners about this first, but I think they're going to sit there, and I'm going to get a chew soon. But no, I think you'd be great to be part of the show. You're a good guy.
Well, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity again, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
WrestleScope.
The scope.
Thanks, John. Cheers.
Hey, Johnny.
I like John a lot. I think he's a very talented guy, and you know what? He's got a good channel, and why not have a little bit of Manischewitz, as I like to say when I go to
Manischewitz wine.
Manischewitz got 85 people right now on the live stream.
Hey, we're doing it here, guys. We're doing it.
Good. We want more questions, so I know we've got a lot of people asking stuff and talking about. This is great, Steve. Steve is calling me out over here. Aaron talking about breasts and minions. Get him some Steve.
Right, Steve Carino Cafe Coffee. What?
Oh, this is great.
Oh, yeah.
We may have
taking over here, Aaron.
we may have an Avery Thomas popping in for the live show. She's got a couple of questions for you, and she's going to
get my
probably
haircut.
ask. Yeah, who got
6
the haircut?
o'clock.
Oh, you do? Don't worry, we won't go crazy long, but I want more. If you want to get on the show, I want your ideas. 2 questions I have for everybody watching. Number 1, what do you think happened? That's number 1. And number 2, how would you book Bray moving forward if it was in the WWE or in the future company, AEW, Impact? So you know what? They can bring back that Fiend character, and it doesn't have to be Bray, right?
Right. For me personally, the guy did everything. He did everything there was to do in the WWE. He's evolved multiple times.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic career.
Fantastic.
Like this is, unless there's something personal going on that's deep and sad.
Mhm.
This isn't necessarily a sob story here.
No,
He had a great career.
at all. Like, and of course, there's always that sense of loss when you're a fan of a product, and it's like I equate it so much to a sports team. When a sports team trades one of your favorite players or they sign somewhere else in free agency, it's like, oh man. But it's not a sad story. Like, look, it sucks that the Fiend character or Bray Wyatt won't be in WWE
and
anymore.
Personally, for the person, I'm sure you don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. I should have said that first.
Never. Yeah. But maybe this is, we always got to play both sides. Maybe this was his choice. Maybe he wants to do something else other than professional wrestling. Maybe he wants to do professional wrestling somewhere else. So whatever it is, I mean, look, you can, fantasy book is great. Like, but the thing with this dude is you just have no idea what's next, which makes it so hard to be like, oh, well,
he's
I'd
going
like
to
to
come
see
up
him
like
in this dream match. Like
a new name, a new everything, a new presentation, like
everything.
Right. WWE owns that whole package. So
he's
gonna have to come up with something else.
But you know what? I think the amount when Harper, sorry, I keep getting that echo there. When Brody passed, I think there was a lot of people who were like, oh, that was really. It seemed like it was absolutely devastating for him. Right?
Yeah.
Now he seems like I mean, I don't know him. I mean, you obviously both know him better than I would. It seems to me like this would be a way that a kind of guy like that would do something for a year or two, whatever that would be, to honor that legacy that Brody had, and to do something with his child. Like, I mean, to me, that just seems like he'd pick up the phone, get in touch with Tony Khan, and say, "Listen, I want to do something for a year, and then get into something else, and I want to do something with." I don't know. To me, it just seems like that would be a closure for him.
It's certainly possible.
It could be.
It's certainly.
I mean,
possible.
Everything's on the table at this point.
Especially, -1 is leading the Dark Order now. So,
guys, I'll cancel my haircut. I'll stick around.
Cancel the haircut.
All right.
Alan put up something here.
Cancel your haircut. Well, 89 people live on the stream.
Yeah, no, let's keep it going, guys. We're gonna keep it going.
We want to know more. Okay, how would you book him? So yes, and so I Matt, Jeff, I think the situation is people are not as upset with, hey, this guy has not been successful and had all these accolades. I think they're more upset that they were all looking forward to a character that they really bought into, that they were excited about this. Yeah. And it's just gone now. And I think that, obviously the general public doesn't see things behind the scenes like yourselves would, being, in the wrestling industry, being in the WWE system. But they look at it saying, this person had all that stuff done, so successful, and they reinvented themselves. And not only that, they were the champion. They were waiting for something good to happen. And it just seems like every time that he had that opportunity, it was just like, what? Nothing made sense.
So what would have you done more? If you had carte blanche, Aaron, what could you have done more with that character that wasn't done?
Okay, so that's a great question. So for me, I would have looked at two things. You have one person playing two different characters, right? You have the Bray Wyatt character, and then you have the Fiend character. WWE had lost, the Undertaker when he retired. I would have said, okay, how do we replace that Undertaker character, right? And how do we use the Fiend to do that? And the Fiend obviously had the whole no sell thing and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have found a way to utilize the Fiend and to create a faction, okay? And somehow, I don't want to say it would be a spell over everything, but it would have allowed him to be the master manipulator and utilize that among other wrestlers who had not been given the opportunity. Could you imagine a Keith Lee just
I can already hear the internet wrestling community shitting all over this booking.
Why is that?
No, I'm just
okay,
because it gets shit out.
No problem. So
show,
imagine just Bray Wyatt being the leader of the Wyatt family like he was, but now it's the Fiend, and now every time he has something over somebody, it's just part of that kind of evil family, right?
Yeah.
Like they were doing it with Alexa Bliss, which is why I don't understand why. I don't understand why it stopped. I mean, listen, the WWE is leakier than like a ship from World War II, right? You're going to start getting the real story that comes out really soon.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they needed to invest more into him. I would have been much more excited instead of, Bobby Lashley standing around and Goldberg coming in. I would have just been like, if the Fiend came out there and looked at him, and I would have been like, okay, this is good. Now you start building it up, because everybody was excited about that Fiend character.
Like, so even just as Alan was saying here, he said if the Undertaker debuted this era the way the Fiend did, he wouldn't have lasted a year.
How did the Fiend debut? Like, what's he referring to specifically?
I just think in general. I don't know if you want to elaborate more, Alan.
I'm
taking that as
it's a good point that Alan's making,
right. But you have to understand that, back in 1990, there was an hour of television a week, right? Maybe 2 hours.
So much slower.
3-4 pay-per-views a year. Like, they have 3 hours of television Monday night, 2 hours of television on Friday. You throw in your NXT. You're constantly writing. It's not always going to be Oscar-worthy writing. You know what I mean? It's just how could it be?
And it is hard to keep up and tell these. Like John was saying earlier about like there's no 6-month storylines, but again,
people get hurt, things happen,
and there's just so much content to fill every single week. It's not like it was when it was in the mid late 90s or the 80s where you could tell, okay, we're going to go from this to SummerSlam, but we just have to do some squash matches in between and some little interactions.
Exactly.
That's not what it is,
dude. Like we all like to give the writers a hard time, right? But that is not a job that I would want.
God, no.
I mean, I'd take it, but like, you know how hard it is, dude. Like writing the verbiage and just coming up with all these ideas for hours and hours and hours of television a week, and the continuity that has to be mention, there.
You could put
and it has to be interesting. The people will have to want to watch it.
And you could put tons of effort into something. Spend nights writing it. Yeah. You're like, I've got this idea. This is fantastic. And then you show up and they go, well, no, we're not going with that direction. So
or you plan weeks of television, and then on a whim, the show gets rewritten an hour before the show. It happens all the time.
Yeah. So let me ask you. So, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, things happen. So
it's like just blaming the writers or like, oh, this.
We can't just blame the right. Like I said,
I'm not shake. It's like, I'm not talking you, but in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not blaming the writers at all. Like at the end of the day, they have a job, and you can't get upset with them. Like at the end of the day, that's their job. If someone has them in there to do that job, and they're not well equipped, or they're just following orders to do it, then that's not on them.
This is an interesting little take. Oh, sorry, not to interrupt you. Finish your point. Now,
over 100 people live on the stream right now.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Welcome.
100
people live on the stream. Remember, if you want to get on the show, we invite you. You get live on the show with former Ever-Rise superstars from 205 Live and NXT, who are also probably going to make their way to another major promotion, I predict, very soon.
Oh, yeah.
They are open free agents. And so all you have to do is email us. We'll send you the link. You come on the stream right now, and you give us your thought process on the breaking news of Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, being released. The way it sounds.
You want to read some comments here? We're going to read some comments.
I like this
yes.
one. This one stuck out to me. Amanda said, if he joined AEW, leading the Dark Order, he's a great actor and could be serious or funny. If he stayed with WWE, pairing up with Karrion Kross and Scarlett against Alexa and whoever else. That's him and Kross could be very interesting, kind of like you were saying, of having this kind of group. There's something that works there.
Both are spooky.
Yeah, of course.
Both are spooky guys.
Why not get him over by creating this character, and he goes to every single 205 show, NXT show, and he sits there and he just sits there in that rocking chair with the mask on and watching all this other talent in the ring because he's trying to pick. And this, you could book this over, a period of 2 months. He's trying to pick his new talent to come into his group, right? And and the thing is, everybody wears the mask, and that's the whole thing. The Fiend is the mask. That's the persona. You know what I mean? So there's so much you can do with that. Like, I don't know. And it's so interesting. And I think that, whoever said it during the release that they had, it doesn't say his real name. So are they?
I think that's pretty typical. No.
Can you
maybe look some old ones up? I don't know. Like
I'm going to look some old ones up right now. I want to get. Oh, so Avery, my wonderful, beautiful daughter, has a question. Avery, we are waiting for you to join the show. I sent Mummy the stream link. So
dropping the
come
ball
on the show. We want to talk because listen, Avery is obsessed. She loves wrestling. She knows more about the majority of people.
Troy Turner mentioned earlier. Wait, oh shoot, I missed it. No, sorry, it was Tyler Brown said, does creativity become a deterrent to his booking in shows?
It could be,
and
100%,
that could be.
We touched on that earlier, right? Like when you're so unique, it's hard to find places to fit you.
Yeah.
Right? It's like square peg in a round hole all the time. Like,
and especially when things are moving so fast, like a creative character and a character that needs to be highlighted like that, it requires some thought and things. When you have someone who can just go in the ring, it's easy to just go 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes, right?
There you go.
It's almost a crutch. It's almost a crutch. WWE is trying to eat up television time, and it's not always going to be perfect.
Yeah,
it's just the way that it's going to be.
But
you love the passion, right? Of the people, you love the passion of how much they love this character.
Yeah, yes. John wrote over here, Bray's 90-day non-compete ends Friday, October 29th.
Ooh, right near Halloween.
Here.
Hey, you never know, eh?
You never knew.
Depends,
I don't know. I want to get some more comments over here.
Did not expect to be here today, guys. Did not expect to be
at
here.
all.
I'm out of water. I need some water. We don't have any. The grid is empty.
I'm trying to find some more reaction to Bray Wyatt. I'm going to type in on Twitter over here, reaction. I'm just trying to see. What was that? Sorry.
I got to get to go. I'm a little hungry. No, I don't got to go anywhere. I'm just hungry.
Okay. Okay. So backstage reaction for Bray Wyatt. Let's. Okay, this is pretty interesting from Wrestle Talk. Let's just read this article right here as I'm chatting with you guys. Okay, so here is an article. I don't want to share this, but why not? Okay. And sorry, if you can lower the volume there so I don't get that echo just for a couple seconds while I do this, that'd be great, Jeff. Okay. There have been reports on the backstage reaction in WWE after Bray Wyatt's release earlier today. Per Fightful Select, John Laurinaitis was the one to make the call. Okay, so if anybody wants to know what it's like to get a phone call, we've got a clip that you can watch on our channel where Matt and Jeff talk about receiving 2 different phone calls, one of them each, obviously, about being let go. So John Laurinaitis was the one to make the call to Bray and sent out a notification to the locker room about the news. Fightful confirmed the report that Dave Meltzer says that everyone was told that it was due to budget cuts were the reason, which came to a surprise within the company, as Bray was noted as a money maker during his active stints in the WWE main roster. In the hour since the release, Fightful were told that Bray Wyatt's name had been brought up during another recent round of WWE releases, but was ultimately kept off the board. Okay, so we're finding out stuff here that that is pretty interesting. Once again, this is breaking news. Email us. I want everyone's reaction. The show rules at gmail.com. Get on the show right now. So once again, his name was on a list, and Matt and Jeff have talked about these lists that are out there. So he may have not he may have not bitten the bullet on one of these lists, and
Right.
ultimately he did today. So Fightful was also told that the creative team. So here's why I think everybody's talking about creative. It's coming out right now. Fightful was also told that the creative team were told that Bray was getting protective over the character after what was seen, it was per creative decision and ideas have been thrown away, although this has not been confirmed with Wyatt himself.
And it's funny, it's like, it's one of those things where we were talking with Disco and Conan the other day, where you can do a little something to somebody in management and just you end up getting heat in the locker room or within the company, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And it's something you forget 2 seconds after it happens, but it sticks with you forever. And maybe you don't get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty big news. So the news, I mean, for those who are just tuning in right now, to get you caught up, Bray Wyatt has been released from the WWE, also known as the Fiend, and his real name. You guys can say his real name.
Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah, Wyndham Rotunda.
Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah.
And the news is that his name was on a list earlier on in the year, as well as he was becoming, as reports suggest, that he was becoming protective of his character because he believed that there were poor creative decisions, which was going,
and rightfully so. Like you should take ownership, and
you have to protect yourself.
You know,
in a certain way, you really
there is
do.
a balance though, because you do want to be fun to work with. You know what I mean? You don't want to be like, oh God, I got to work with Matt Lee today. You know what I mean?
That's the kiss of death too, right there. If someone
like this guy's going to be,
whether it's creative or the boys, whatever it is, if you have that reputation of it, like
I'm going to pitch you an idea and you're just going to, shoot it down right away. Like, I mean,
but does he have a point? Because I mean, if you look,
there's a balance.
But if you look, if you look and being very subjective, okay, and objective at the same time, and say, okay, this is why I want wrestling fans to. Okay, if you're in the chat right now, I'm going to ask you a question. As the guy who's not in professional wrestling, but I can just ask you this question: do you believe Bray Wyatt was booked to his full potential as the Fiend? Yes or no? It's a simple question. There's nothing in the middle. Was he booked to his potential as that character? Yes or no?
I say no.
Okay, so you're saying no, Matt. What do you say?
I think he was booked to his full potential. Absolutely. As
the Fiend character.
Oh, as the Fiend character. I mean, I guess when he first debuted, like it seemed to be going this way, and then kind of stopped. The Hell in a Cell match comes to mind. Do you remember that? Like, was it with Seth?
No disqualifications, and he loses. Yeah,
right. And like, so that certainly derailed things. An interesting choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, could have things been gone better there? Yeah, maybe.
I also think it's one of those things where it's a victim of, you can see what this potential is. So it's like, if you're into horror movies or whatever it is, you can see so many things where this character could go. But it's hard for a singular creative direction to be like, oh, we're planning this whole 2-hour show or whatever it is now. How does this fit into the other plans that we have as well? It's not like a movie where Bray Wyatt's character and the Fiend is the star, right?
Yeah, I also think WWE saw him more as like a side attraction, kind of like The Undertaker was. He doesn't necessarily have to be the champion. He doesn't have to be the focal point of the program. Yeah. He's over here in his corner doing his thing. You know what I mean?
So I asked a simple question, and here are the answers, and there are a lot. I'm just going to put them.
Oh, let's read them out.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys you have it right there, right? So let's start at 4:48 is when on the chat. So we'll start off with Alan at 4:48. The question was he booked to his full potential?
Yeah.
No.
So Alan says no. Crystal says no. Gallivant says no. So clearly we're on a trend here.
A lot of no.
Melissa says no. Johnny says no. Gary says absolutely not. Singer says no. Kavion. I hope I said that right.
I'm the butcher of names. Don't worry.
He has more to go. Andrew, no. Troy, no. Hell no. Evan, no. Dan, he was overbooked, if anything. Oh, someone
really?
go
Okay.
Like it's a character that you don't necessarily want to see every single week. Like, it's good for that character to take a break and go away for 6 weeks and come back.
I absolutely agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that. That's a very good point.
Pro XJ and nope. Sambuca, yes, he was. Anthony Russell, Bray Wyatt was not booked to his potential, but the way he wanted the character to be made that impossible in WWE for it to be so. So there's also that side of things. That could be a complete, absolute.
I'd love a little bit more color on that and context to see, with someone, what really was he so protective of, and what did he want that character to be that point? Because I would love to understand that, right?
Yeah, probably gonna have to wait for the book on that one, or maybe he comes on the show and he explains it
right here on this platform.
You got an open invitation.
And listen, we would treat him with the absolute utmost respect. We would not ask him to put anybody down, nothing. We would just ask him about him being one of the most creative individuals in wrestling, I think, in a long time, other than Everrise. But
for sure.
Sly Fox said the Seth match ruined his character 100%, like you said. So it seems like overwhelmingly people are saying no.
Yeah.
But there's definitely discussion.
And we have Fret Not, Nia Jax is still with the company.
Good for her.
Nia Jax
somebody's got to be still with the company.
So that's something that, like,
you can't.
It's a really weird thing with wrestling fans that get me. It's like everyone's still a human being.
Yes.
Like, I get that you might not like somebody, but it's like that's this thread you see. It's like, oh, this person gets fired, but this person should lose their job too. Like,
I'm sorry, Nia Jax is a very talented. Listen, I cannot think of one person. This is not when you guys were kids and I was, hosting a wrestling show at 19. When guys can come out with these massive bellies and they did one or two moves, and the talent on any wrestler right now who is in the WWE, AEW, all these organizations is phenomenal, and they should be so proud. And anybody who wants to, number one, body shame someone, number two, say that they don't deserve to be there because someone else isn't there, I'm sorry, that's not the case at all. They are so talented. Like Nia Jax, I'm sorry, I could probably learn more from her about wrestling and how to do certain things. And she's probably better than, 40% of the men that are wrestling as well. Like I'm just trying to say that anybody who's wrestling in the WWE right now is there for a reason. And don't discount them by saying someone else isn't there. And, if only you can go back and forth. And I hear this argument all the time. And unless you are literally hurting someone night after night and causing severe injuries on purpose, there's a big difference between someone, it's just bad luck or whatever, or via on purpose. There's a big difference there, right? So I think Nia Jax is a wonderfully talented individual, and
no matter who it is, like let's say they absolutely suck. I'm not saying anybody in particular, but if someone is absolute garbage, you still shouldn't wish somebody to lose their livelihood. It's cool to be like, that's not for me.
You know what's funny? As you were talking there, you mentioned like the guys of yesteryear and stuff. Like when we grew up as children, wrestlers were around for 2-3 years max.
Max
2-3 years, unless you became Bret Hart. Sean, you weren't around a long time. But today, like Dolph Ziggler's been there 15-16 years. Bray Wyatt was there 12-13 years. Guys are there forever. You know what I mean? The talent doesn't turn over quite as much. And I think that's why it's so shocking when something like this does happen, because you don't see it all the time.
Yeah.
Back in the day, people just disappeared,
Yep.
And I mean, there are certain wrestlers that are in certain tiers, right? Like you've got your enhancement talent who really do they work so hard to get other individuals over, and that's a lot of work, right? They're taking that's a lot of work for that enhancement.
It's a thankless job.
Huge.
There you go. But I think now more and more people understand that role, and they understand how much sacrifice those individuals really put in, because they're never going to become those big stars, and they make everybody else the stars, right? And then you've got the mid-tier individuals, and then you've got the people that are going to be chasing belts, right? So I just think that everybody thought that Bray was in that range of the chasing the belt champion. I've had custom championship belts put on. I've had all those things, and it's just weird. And maybe he's right to be protective of the character. Like, do you think Stone Cold would have done well, or The Rock would have done well, unless they were allowed to what if they said, hey, you can't
Well,
say if you smell what The Rock is cooking anymore.
You always hear those stories from like Vince Russo, who wrote with Stone Cold back in the day, of how demanding Stone Cold was every single week, and the anxiety that he lived with. He didn't like anything, and he was going to do things his way, but he earned that right. He became the biggest draw in the business, and he earned that right to protect his character as much as he saw fit.
This is interesting. We have another great comment here from Jake. I love pointing this out, and then Jeff can read it. So why not, right?
Yeah,
Jeff's
that's a good system.
There we go. We got a timestamp on there.
Yeah, I got it here. So so Jake said there are certain talent that WWE didn't have to do anything to get them over. Bray Wyatt, Rusev, etc. And when they have control, and when they have to control anything, that's when you mess everything up. So I think he's saying like,
right,
it's the organicness getting over, and then when they're trying, but that's just
but to say WWE didn't have a hand in them getting over, like, think of the entrances and the production side of both.
They put
them
on a platform. They gave them the opportunity. Like, I mean, I look at you, both of you, ever rise in the success of that tag team in NXT in 205, and at the end of the day, like, you were given the opportunity, and but remember, you guys turned around and were creative and came up with a type of way to present something online, and no one said you could do it. You waited for the all those things, right? So, and then when it started getting over, as they say, I'm sure you'd be protective if all of a sudden one day they said, hey guys, stop doing that. You can't do that. You have to do this. You'd be a little bit protective of it, because you're starting to now scratch the surface of, hey, this is,
and you have equity in these characters that you've built,
you do get, and there's an attachment to it, and you do start feeling like it does. I don't want to necessarily say, but in a way it does blur the lines of real life. Like, you really do start having to, like Austin, he had to believe in Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had to, because he felt like he knew that character best, so he was going to do what was best for it.
You hear these stories of Jeff Jarrett was in line to have a run with Stone Cold, right, as a challenger or whatever, and Austin just didn't want to do it. He was like, nope, that guy's too soft for me. Yeah. Like, people would never believe it, and it would hurt his drawing power.
Yeah.
But he was right.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, and it's not a knock on Jeff Jarrett at all. But like, if you were talking to Jeff Jarrett today, and Jeff Jarrett would be like, yeah, he's probably right. Like, it wouldn't have gone the way that, history would have been written a little bit differently, maybe, right? Like, there's that famous thing with The Rock and Billy Gunn, remember? He did it wasn't a knock on Billy Gunn. It was just, hey, Billy Gunn is in a different tier right now than I am. And if you want to get me over as this talent, don't put me with this individual, because there's no point to it right now. A little bit later on, sure. So sometimes that makes sense. And these amazing comments are coming in right now. Like, I posted one up here from Dan, but there's so many comments that are coming in right now.
The Fiend is a character that didn't need a world title, similar to Taker. Right. That was our point before, right? Him being the champion, especially that soon into the character. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Because if he was the champion, he's got to lose.
Yeah, he's got to lose.
Yeah, and then Steve, I think some of the problem is the I can't see it.
The mentality.
Yeah, is
that for someone to get over, they need the title. Right.
It certainly is. Like, because everyone has to be the top guy, right? And that's just kind of a misconception. Like you're just saying, some of those guys, like Jake Snake Roberts was never a top guy, right? But he was a guy. Like, he was very important in the fold. So
it's funny when you get pegged in that slot, though. You're probably like, man, just give me the shot. Give me the title.
Of course.
You know what? Let me run with that ball, and that frustration sets in. Nobody wants to be the number 2 or the side piece over here. Everybody wants to be the man,
So now, so this is what's going to happen. So what happens now with, I mean, obviously you guys have been in this situation. I mean, what is Bray thinking right now? Now that it's kind of, we're starting to get the trickles coming in that this was not obviously something that was a back and forth conversation. His name was on a list. They clearly maybe just didn't have anything for him, or he was being a little bit protective of the character, regardless of where you stand on that. What is he thinking right now once he gets that call from John Laurinaitis and at someone at a top level talent like that we haven't seen since WrestleMania? So what is he thinking?
Man, who knows? Like the first, I'm sure, like, just the blood rushed out of his, you know what I mean? Like, you get that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. And what is the first thing you do? I don't know, man. He'll probably go talk to his family. Maybe I was going to say open a pro wrestling tea store, but I doubt the Fiend's going to be doing that. You know what I mean? Start a podcast. What do people do? There's a playbook for people, but maybe not.
How is he feeling right now? Like, I
was devastated. No doubt. Like, if this wasn't some sort of agreement, he's devastated. He has to be. I sincerely doubt that he saw this coming.
So at a point right now,
there's no way, right? Like,
yeah.
And think about how this affects you now. Now you're going to get paid for 3 months, and after that, everything is up in the air. You don't know where you're going to land next or how much money you're going to be making, and you have a certain lifestyle, bills to pay. And you don't know what it's going to be down the line.
Yeah, this is this is a great comment from Crystal. Crystal, come on the show. You've been putting some amazing comments in here. Just come on the show. Even if you don't want to join us. Even if you don't want to turn the webcam on, you don't have to. You can just talk, by the way. And once again, it's the show rules at gmail.com. And anybody who wants to come on and they don't want their webcam on, you don't have to turn your webcam on, by the way. You can just have your audio. I feel sorry if Alexa ends up getting a lot of heat from the fans after this. Absolutely. You know what? Alexa Bliss, and I'm just going to say this because I have a 9-year-old daughter who, Jeff and Matt have always been so respectful of, and she's Avery,
fantastic.
You guys love her. She loves you. I mean, it's great. But when I watch wrestling, I connect with my daughter now in such a way because she's able to watch an Alexa Bliss. She's able to watch a Sasha Banks and all these, amazing young talent that's out there. And another talent from NXT, Indy
Hartwell.
Some of this talent is just mind-boggling how amazing these individuals are. And it's so nice to be able to sit there with my daughter and watch this and you could do this too, and it's just such a cool feeling now being a dad.
It is. And I think we forget that sometimes as viewers, yes. You know what I mean? That connection is there, father-daughter,
Yeah. And it is pretty awesome, honestly, in my opinion, because it's just like, I don't know. And then I don't want Alexa Bliss coming on there and then all of a sudden people booing her. And then,
they won't.
I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit worried because people are going to associate the last thing with the Fiend and Bray Wyatt with Alexa Bliss.
I mean, I suppose it's possible. What's funny though? We were just talking about you and your relationship with your daughter watching wrestling, and we were just fantasy booking for the last half an hour or whatever. Like, we forget that like your daughter is not thinking that way at all as a fan. You know what I mean? She wants to see her favorites. And they come out and they do their pose and they have their match. You know what I mean? Sometimes we overthink things, I think.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we overthink. As wrestling fans, yes. And by the way, so just for anybody who's watching right now, last night we obviously saw, spoiler alert if you haven't been watching, Sasha Banks make another turn, going a little bit heel on Bianca Belair. So I said this to my daughter. I said, they made a mistake. I said, what should have happened was Sasha Banks should have been there. Bianca Belair should have been there. They should have been celebrating in the ring, and Bianca should have turned and knocked out Sasha Banks, and then looked at Sasha and says, I don't need you. I am the EST.
She would be the bad one.
Yes. You switch it up, and then all of us, because people wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
So, but because you've already done almost the same heel turn,
it's going to be a rematch, I guess, of WrestleMania at SummerSlam, right?
Yeah, I just think if they would have done it that way, that would have been the shock. That really, no one. I mean, remember Sasha Banks did this with Nadia and Natalia. Sorry, it's the fifth time I've called her Nadia. With Natalia, and it's the same. Literally, it's the same thing. Came out to the ring, did her thing, and then turned on her. I think if. Oh, Bianca Belair, they had such a great opportunity last night. And
I'm sure they'll get there, though. They want to like play out this run with her on top as the good guy. Can we just remind people to subscribe to the channel?
Yeah, subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe. Like
Hit the subscribe button. Why don't you tell everybody about the shows that you do? And just for the record, everybody know Matt and Jeff they are the tag team from NXT and 205 Live in WWE, known as Everrise. And 2 months ago, they were released from the WWE, and they are okay with that. They are moving forward right now, and they are going to be they are now called the Show Rules. and they are going to be, in my opinion, one of the greatest tag teams to come out with individuals that of a certain age that, you know what, you didn't really, hey, I didn't really notice those guys before, and now you're going to be noticing them on YouTube, and then all of a sudden you're going to be noticing them nationally on television, everywhere.
It's going to be coming, guys.
Good.
Yeah, it's going to be coming. What do we got? We got story time.
Telling stories, the show Telling Stories. So we're telling stories, of our 20-year career in professional wrestling.
This week we got
WWE stuff all over it.
This week we're going to have a good one for you.
Yeah.
All right, 2004, Psycho Sid, okay? He had broken his leg in 2001 WCW. He makes his re-debut at the IWS, and the madness that ensued, guys,
Insanity.
you don't even know.
Insanity.
I'm telling you, you're not going to believe half of this story, but it's all 100% true.
100% true. It's the show happened inside of an abandoned pool. There's a little preview. It's just a nutty
There was
story.
a giant hourglass.
People with painted faces and pantyhose.
Psycho Sid is nuts, guys. He's a psycho.
So there's that. We have Telling Stories. We also have every Saturday morning at 10:30 the show rules.
The show
talk
and
show.
today you had a special guest doing a
Eddie Kingston, AEW's Eddie Kingston, a real piece of trash on the program.
Show stop in every week to deliver a chew of the week, which is a segment where they chew some gum.
I'll tell you guys,
somebody
here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If we got a problem with you,
you get a chew.
You get a chew.
You get a chew.
You get a chew.
And then
chewing people out.
Every Thursday night, 8 p.m., we have this Behind the Show, which is, this one is the breaking news version.
Hosted by the lovely Aaron Amadeus. Back into our lives after 20 years. This is great.
There's
guys.
a lot going on.
We are together. And today we're breaking news.
There's tons. And we also have a few people who emailed to come on and have a little chit chat with
us.
So there's some people there.
We've got we got a few people that are
1-900, 909, 9900.
So that's the
amazing. Hit the subscribe button. Let's just go quickly to, we've got Anthony that's going to be coming on. We have Yan who's going to come on. And then we've got a Daisy who's coming on right now. Let's go to a Daisy. Oh, wait. Daisy just left. Where is...
Daisy, you should go subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
Hit the like button.
Smash there she is right
bell.
now. Let's talk to Daisy. Hi there, Daisy.
Hi.
How are you? I think I know this voice.
Is this Avery?
Maybe.
We're getting an echo on you, Sweetie Pie.
This is like a bad
Yeah, seriously, this is.
Thanks, Avery. Very nice.
Avery, we'll talk to you soon. We'll fix this, Sweetie Pie. That's Avery. That's my daughter. I love her to death. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, welcome to the show, buddy.
Anthony!
Hey!
Guys, greetings from Southampton on the south coast of Great Britain. How you doing?
Hey, living the dream, my man.
I love that.
I've joined in the hat game.
There you go. What do you got? The Washington Capitals. Ovechkin.
Yes,
you must be happy about that.
I am very, very happy about another 5 years of the greatest player of this generation.
There you go.
Carey Price is
going to pass Gretzky.
No, but he's not the greatest player of this generation. It is the great eight. Carey Price is a very good netminder, but nobody's touching Ovechkin at the moment.
What can we do for you, man?
There you go. Talk to us about the Fiend.
So the thing with Bray, and I think there's the big issue for me. The one thing I should say, wrestling is a 3-ring circus, and he is one of the rings of the circus I'm not a particularly big fan of personally. Doesn't do a fantastic amount for me. But I think the character of the Fiend suffers from the fact that WWE has always tried to, in my opinion, portray itself quite a bit as being like the NFL or like the NHL or the NBA. And WWE is Disney. It's the big monolith on top of the hill, and it has things in a really, really set way. Like if you work in Disneyland and you have the character head on, you have to behave a certain way, you have to do things a certain way. Obviously, you guys can kind of speak much better to that, having worked there. But as a character, he's got all of these great ideas, and he's clearly a really, really smart, really creative guy who, like a lot of great writers, has probably got this big expanded universe in his head. And that doesn't fit when you've got 4 very solid walls built around you to kind of work within. I did stick the comment in the chat. I think probably the best thing for this guy right now in terms of future booking, either literally or metaphorically, chuck him into that pool of rejuvenation buried at the back of the Hardy compound, sign somewhere that will let you just do everything from scratch, let you have your corner of the sandbox, let him completely build everything again. I think he kind of needs to put the Fiend to bed.
I mean, it's obviously going to be, because it's not, even though it's his idea, right?
The WWE property.
Can't be it. But I think you nailed it too. Like, yes, obviously he has this expanse of an idea of what he wants this character to be in this world it lives in, but that has to go through so many filters before it actually gets its 5 minutes on TV.
For better or worse, you know,
for better or worse.
Because sometimes that filter is a good thing when you hear some of the ideas of the boys. You know.
Oh yeah.
Bray needs to go to Japan. That'd be interesting.
That would certainly be interesting.
So many filters go through. Says the two men I've watched come out of a DeLorean.
Wow, that is a callback. Yeah. Chikara.
Yeah, we did come out of a DeLorean.
The DVD. The DVD is in the other room down there.
Did you get the movie too? Did you get the movie?
I did get the movie. I got sent a Dropbox link with one of the preview things for Ashes to upload all of those years ago. So
I'm gonna write that down because that's a story we need to tell, because that DeLorean situation was something else.
It was wild.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear about this. This is great.
I would be fascinated to hear it too. But I suppose the only thing I should say, given the opportunity, gentlemen, as I said, I have followed you two for a very, very long time. You've been excellent everywhere you have gone. You are going to, I'm sure, take over the world in your own way, given the opportunity. And I will even, as I said in the email, and you know, it will be attested to. I do kind of like the Habs. They're kind of like this sort of chaotic weirdness. I mean, at the moment, less good. We'll ignore what's just happened at the draft.
A month ago,
we'll ignore that too. It's fine. But you guys are fantastic. You're going to do great things. And there's a small corner of us in British wrestling fandom as well who love you too. We'd love to see you over here, given the chance.
We'd love to go, man.
Definitely. It's been a place we've been wanting to go for a long time. And hopefully once the world starts opening up even more, we're definitely going to get out there. I can't wait to get out there.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the kind words. Really appreciate it.
That's awesome. Anthony, anytime you want to come back on the show, we would love it. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And stay tuned next week. It could be a really interesting show next week. I'll just tell you that. It's always going to be an interesting show.
A cliffhanger? A little teaser? Everybody loves it.
We got our text going back.
Teasers, the countdown. There's all kinds of things going on.
Right?
Clanging hints everywhere.
What's going on?
Anthony, have yourself a great evening, I would suggest.
It's 10:15. I'm going to bed.
There you go.
That man knows.
Tuck yourself in.
That man knows. Sing yourself a lullaby.
Oh, yeah.
You take care of yourself. Thanks again for coming on. Okay, buddy?
Thanks, dude.
Have a good night, bud.
Cheers. That's a great call. I can't wait to hear this DeLorean story. This would be phenomenal. We got time for a couple more calls, and then we're gonna call it a day. Once again, we are talking about Bray Wyatt. Breaking news has been released from the WWE. More information has just come out. I'm just going to read you very quickly. More
breaking
details.
News. Breaking.
More
breaking
news on breaking news. More details have come to light on the reasons. Earlier today, Dave Meltzer has been given the reason. Sorry, I've already read this article. Meltzer also notes that Bray Wyatt was planned to make his WWE return in August and had been preparing for his return.
Isn't that amazing how fast things can change just like that?
Not a surprise.
No, not at all. I mean, it happened to us, and we're nowhere near the level of Bray Wyatt. Even saying that is ridiculous.
Happened to Tommy End.
Yeah.
He was doing all these vignettes.
So just imagine you're a writer and you're writing all these stories, planning out for months, and then all of a sudden the talent just gets cut.
Yep.
You had all these ideas for
6 month stories,
right? And it's just gone, and now you got to fill in all that TV time again.
So, but then all of a sudden WWE comes back to you and says, "Hey, listen, we love the show rules. You're established now because of what you guys have done. We want you back. We're going to put you on the main roster, which is Raw or SmackDown to them, but you can't do the show rules on YouTube." Does that mean I'm done? Is that what happens?
It depends what the contract is.
That's literally what it comes down to. Like,
how bad do they want us? Maybe we finagle to keep both.
Yeah.
There you go. You'll have that power in that room. Okay, I like that.
See, they want us. You got power.
When there's a will, there's a way.
When
there's always a deal to be made.
There is a way. Okay, so we just want, before we end the stream, we want a little bit more information here.
Is supper cooking, Aaron? What's going on? We're in a rush.
Yeah, no, I got Swiss Chalet coming in. It's going to be.
I haven't had a Swiss Chalet in a few years.
Swiss Chalet.
Oh,
a little
Isn't it good?
Poulet barbecue.
I like these. It's going to be
So-
good. So we want more information here. Sorry, I want
brother.
more info on like I said, we got over 90 people right now live on the chat.
Big day.
What are your thoughts now? So here's a question for everybody in the chat. Knowing that Bray was coming back and the Fiend was coming back, it was supposed to be any day now. Obviously, for SummerSlam, there was going to be something that was going to happen. Do you feel he will come back as himself, or when he comes back into wrestling? Because obviously he's coming back into wrestling. He's considering. Do you feel he's going to come back as himself in a Bray Wyatt character, or he's going to come back with a new version, like a new mask, something that's going to be Fiend Part 2 that the WWE can't trademark or go after him? Because that's going to be interesting, because he looks like he's someone who can get over with that type of mask, that type of horror style, which can be very easily reproduced. So it'd be very interesting. What do you call the next Fiend?
I don't know what you call him. I personally think, and I don't even know what I'm basing this on, just a gut instinct, that he'll go back to the Bray Wyatt style, right? That Louisiana Bayou type of guy.
Certainly.
Maybe that's just what I want to see. I don't know.
Or he's another version of a horror movie, or he's completely something different. Like, especially with a dude like this, it's so hard to just even speculate because there's so much going on. You just have there's literally no way of knowing.
Gary Newman, yeah.
So remember,
no kidding.
Oh, is that ever true?
Is that Mike DePonte?
Yeah, is it? I don't know. Jeff is reading all the comments here. We're trying to go through them. There are a ton. And remember, just email us, and we need
Bill's
a couple
Mafia,
of mods
STF
here.
says a completely new gimmick. Oh yeah, Bill's Mafia.
Member
of the Bill's Mafia.
Yeah, I don't know about
Bill's
Josh
Go.
Allen. You know.
This is play-by-play with Laza, and it says AEW will beat WWE now if they get Bray. They already got Chris Jericho, the Big Show. They are showing that they are what WWE was in the 90s. See, I think there's a little bit of a fear factor and a risk if you start bringing in all these WWE guys into what AEW has been developing some really, you think of Jungle Boy, you think of all these other young talent that started with AEW. What happens all of a sudden if AEW says, hey, we're just going to cut loose with a lot of the guys and gals who started us off to get to where we are, and then or does AEW keep expanding?
Because those guys see all these releases happening, and then they start to sweat because they know some of them are going to be coming over and they're going to be taking a job. It's just what it is.
Yep.
And it's not fun, but that's just the reality of the situation. Anytime you see a cut in a company, the other company's sitting there saying, oh boy, how's this going to play out?
Yeah. Yeah. And you do have to have a balance. Like, it is really important to have this veteran presence on your roster as well, because not only not every, and again, we got to look at things business wise. Like, let's just use Domino's has been relevant, right?
Domino's.
So we use that. Domino's,
little pizza cutter.
Domino's might know who Matt Hardy is,
right?
But they might not know who Private Party is, even though they're in the same group, right? So you do have to have that balance, but you do especially need to nurture these guys that are your stars and pushing up, mixing it up with the bigger guys. But I mean, if people want to see it, they're going to tune in.
What is that
right?
balance? How much is too much? How much is not enough? It's tough.
I don't know.
Luckily, there's other places too, right? You got Ring of Honor,
Yep.
you got Impact. I mean, I don't know if the Fiend would go to one of those, but maybe.
Right?
Why not? Kenny Omega wrestles at Impact.
Yeah.
Why can't the
But why
Fiend?
not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well,
Free
hey, that
will.
door is open, right? And that's a really good point, Matt. That I just didn't, you just brought up that forbidden door has been open. AEW now has these partnerships with all these different other organizations. So does Impact become the I don't know, I don't want to say the the AHL or the
Sure.
what would you call that? Why
It's
am I
like
drawing?
I don't know how you want to put it, because it's Major League, no doubt about that, right?
Of
It is
course
Major League.
it's Major
but we
League.
understand from a what's the word that I'm looking for? Audience standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, like
There's rankings.
there's rankings.
It's as simple
Jesus,
as that.
Why
It's-
can't I can't speak? How long have we been talking here?
It's still the pros, but there are rankings. It kind of goes as simple as that.
Yeah. And yeah, see, I'm just worried too, like, you know what? Like, at the end of the day too, like, you've got Dynamite, you have Dark, which I love that Dark show. I mean,
It's such an easy watch. You just put it on.
Oh man.
It's easy. You don't have to follow any stories.
It's
Good
so
guy, bad
good.
guy.
You know what?
You know?
And they do their best to get the talent over, right? I mean, and then now you're gonna have Rampage. You're gonna have like just think about this for a second. You're gonna have CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. You're gonna have, it could be a Bray Wyatt coming into the AEW family. They're like I said before, they're gonna need some more belts, right? Like they're gonna need something, and I really want to see what happens. We got another person on the line right now. We've been wanting to talk to Crystal for a bit, so let's chit chat with Crystal. Remember, anybody who wants to come on, if you don't want to show your camera, that's all. You don't have to worry about that. We are an inclusive environment. All you have to do is just turn the camera off, but your audio will be on, so it's up to you. But we welcome anybody and everybody, and just email us at theshowrules@gmail.com. I want to get your opinion. Crystal.
Hi.
All right.
Welcome, Crystal. And Raymond. There you go. What's up?
Hi. I'm sorry. I'm just surprised how much you guys like my comments, because I've watched wrestling when I was growing up, but when I got work out of high school, I took like a 10-15 year break from it because I couldn't watch it. And it was like only like a year or two ago I started watching it again. So I'm just like, oh, okay. So I was like impressed.
Welcome back.
So, can I ask you what got you back into wrestling after 15 years?
Ever run?
I could play one of my coworkers, because when I told him I used to watch wrestling, he was like, "Oh, you'd like this guy, like the Fiend and whatnot and stuff like that." Because The Undertaker was the whole reason I started watching wrestling in the first place. Because I was like a little kid, Dad was flipping through channels, and he was there, and I'm like, "Wait, turn it back!" And I saw him beat up this guy and put him in a body bag, and I was like, that is so cool.
That's your guy.
So
the
yeah,
body bag guy.
So the news about the Fiend just broke my heart, because it reminded me of guys like Taker and Kane and Mankind and all that.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, I was stunned by that, and also by your guys' reactions to my comments as well.
So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, so you had some amazing comments in there. So a couple of questions back to you. Do you think that he was booked properly, or should like the stuff that's coming out right now from other sources? Do you think that he had a right to be protective of his character?
I mean, if he was concerned of them doing stuff that he didn't feel was comfortable with his character or wouldn't work with his character, maybe, or something like you can see his character doing, perhaps, maybe. But there's some things I felt like they could have done more with him storyline wise, because just like it seemed like it's such a quick dead ending to some of his stories that they had throughout these past year or so,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I felt they could have done his booking just a bit better.
Could have. It's tough sometimes because you don't want to pigeonhole the character either.
Yeah,
it's hard, man. Yeah, it's not an easy job.
Yeah, I agree.
All I can think about is, like I think of Matt and Jeff, and I think of Everrise, and I think of the way that they were able to take those characters, do all those things, and then get over, and then all of a sudden the carpet's ripped from them, right? And I'm just sitting there like, and if I'd be protective of that too, even if they weren't released. I'd be like, hey, listen, look what they've done, right? So I'm not equating it to the Fiend. I'm just saying we don't, and maybe Jeff, Matt, you may know this, I don't, but we don't. The general public does not know if Bray Wyatt had those amazing conversations with Vince or creative and saying, I really hope that, hey, I did this. Goldberg beat me. I lost on a DQ to Seth. I did all these things because you told me that would be the case, and we'll build to something. Nothing's been built. Nobody knows the answer to those questions, right? So it's really hard when
they could even give you an answer and then have it not play out that way.
Plans change all the time. All the time. You could be told one thing on Monday, Tuesdays, or even Monday afternoon, and by Monday night it's a completely different thing. It's just there's just no way of knowing.
Let me ask you a question, and sorry there, Crystal. Are you asking? Let me ask you a question there to Matt and to Jeff. Considering that all your friends are WWE, AEW, is your phone, has it been going off? And with people saying, did you hear? Like,
certainly. Yeah.
Like the second that news broke, it was like 100 text messages.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question. Has a former, and I'm not going to ask names, has a former champion in WWE, Universal or Heavyweight, male or female, have they texted you saying, did you just see what happened?
They did, yeah. So that was who broke the news to me, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wild.
Crystal, see this. You're getting. I mean, as a wrestling fan, what better way are you interacting with two guys that have the love and support of the wrestling community?
I will say, one thing I wish that could have happened with you guys when you were still on NXT was that you did get to go to the club with Grimes.
Right?
Man, that would have been fun.
Good memory.
That would have been
great
fun.
memory.
Yeah.
That's just like a 30-second moment in time.
A little,
Yeah.
You remembered, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that
great.
moment. It's like, oh man, really good took you.
I don't know if I want to go to the clubs anymore, though. It
No.
seems like
It's a lot of work. You
It's
got
a
to
lot
get
of work.
dressed up.
yeah.
Got to fix my hair.
What am I wearing? I don't know what the wardrobe
Oh yeah, what's the
requirement
shoe
is now.
situation?
I got to wear a button down, or is there's a V-neck? Okay.
Oh god, you
don't
got to
know,
wait in
man.
line for drinks.
Oh, waiting in line. I'm
I
done
don't
with
know.
waiting in line
So much
for anything.
stuff.
You see what you started here, Crystal?
I couldn't help because I honestly, with how funny you guys were and how funny Grimes is, that I would have loved to have seen more with you guys together.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so
and us
nice.
both.
You and Raymond are so nice. You got to buy a shirt or a mug for these guys. I mean, I would love to see that. I want
cameo.
people to come on the show with
cameo.
shirts and mugs and all of the merch. Right? This is great. Crystal, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Please come
Thank
on
you for
again.
joining us.
Thank you.
We can't. We're so excited that you're back watching wrestling, and hopefully, this will all work out. And
Smash the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you say.
Subscribe.
Smash it.
Yeah,
Like?
smash the
I'm
subscribe button.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
great.
Crystal.
Friend of the show.
Thank you so
Friend
much.
of the show, Crystal.
Friend of the show, Crystal. Every time, we need to do that. Okay, Crystal, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the weekend.
You too, guys. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your evening.
She's so nice.
That was
And
awesome.
she had, you know what? Considering she just got back into wrestling, very articulate in terms
Right?
of what her comments were on our chat. And once again, apologize to everybody with the fact that we have not been able to go through every single person on the chat. There are at some point there was 120 people on this thing. Like
we
it
really
takes
do
a while.
need a
And this is
moderator,
breaking
right?
news in the day, right? So
Yeah.
we're not a channel that has 100,000 subscribers. So when you hit live, you automatically have so many people on there. So it takes a little bit of time for us to get it. So it's
Play a little catch up.
Grassroots operation. Like we don't have a lot of people working for it. It's just us here, guys.
Mom and pop.
If anybody out there wants to play moderator, please email us.
Yeah,
At the
the
show
moderator part is easy. All we have to do is you just get the power of kicking people off.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
making sure things are they're not.
Make sure
doing,
nobody's being rude. I would
Ever
love to be
rise,
no
future
rude.
tag team champions wherever you may go. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary
you.
Newman,
Appreciate that.
again.
Let's see if Raymond wants to come on the show over here.
Primo.
Oh wait, he may not want. I don't know. He's giving a weird look. Do you want on? Yes or no, Raymond? Give me a thumbs
Who's
up or a thumbs down.
Come on, Raymond.
We're bringing you on anyway.
Okay.
Raymond.
All right, there he
Welcome to
is.
the show, buddy.
Hi.
How you doing?
Doing good.
So Bray Wyatt,
What's
were
going
you
on?
shocked when you heard the news?
Well, I didn't really know about it until, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed that they let him go because, well, he did really have a good character.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you
Sure,
think he's
absolutely.
going? Do you think he's going to be successful where he goes next, or do you think it's going to be maybe he gets typecasted, as they say, right? And he's just that guy, and everybody's going to remember him from that.
No, I have a feeling that Wyatt is going to be one of those guys who's going to be pulled back real soon. But I don't know how, but for his character, I really think that at some point they're going to pull him back. I don't think they put anybody on or I haven't seen a firing that's actually been permanent.
Yeah.
You're
So I
totally
mean,
right.
so any way this goes, like the one thing for sure is that like that Bray Wyatt character, the Fiend, like really resonated with people
Yeah.
and struck a chord, and everybody's gonna remember him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a very, very good point, Raymond. You know what? Enjoy the rest of the day. We are going to cut the show soon because everybody's going to have some dinner time and haircut
Yep.
time. So
Yeah,
we appreciate
I got
Can I
2
still make
kids.
the haircut?
I think you can. I think you can.
6 o'clock.
You still got the
you
haircut
tell
time.
him.
You're good.
Fast
Don't worry
will be
about
late.
it. Raymond, enjoy your dinner.
Wait comes any minute. So.
Okay, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
on. We
man.
Thank you,
appreciate it,
Raymond.
buddy.
All right. Sure thing. Yeah.
Take care. Oh, that was
Raymond.
what a great show today. We're having plenty of. This is great. Oh, we have one more.
Is anybody
sorry,
queued
one
up
more
here? Anybody
person,
else?
and then we're gonna go. We've got Alan, who's been
Alan.
another person.
Yay!
He's been making
guys.
some amazing comments again on Bray Wyatt. So once again, yeah, you know what? Like we'd love to hear your thoughts on Bray Wyatt being released from the WWE today.
How do you feel, Alan?
I think he's frozen.
Oh no! Well, this is what happens live television here, folks.
Oh, there he is. Whitey's moving.
Alan. Oh boy,
No,
guys.
he's not moving.
Well, what do we got? Dead air over here.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I think my internet been cutting in and out. But
Oh, good.
I just want to
You're
say
not
I really
Well, where
enjoyed
do you
you
live, in
guys
the
on
woods?
NXT.
In the woods.
Sorry, am I on?
You're on.
Yeah,
you're
you're
live.
on in
Hello?
front of the world.
Oh, sorry. No, guys, I'm from Mississauga.
Mississauga.
Nobody's from
Are you
Mississauga.
Are you going to the Destiny wrestling shows or what?
Oh my God, you guys know about Destiny? Yes, I would love it if you guys
Of
ever
course.
showed up on Destiny one time. Like, I mean, I loved you guys on NXT. Like the bit you guys did with Raquel and Dakota, I was laughing for days. when you, when,
You
when
know,
I think Matt, you
Raquel
got
is a
hit-
giant
hit
piece
knocked
of
down.
trash.
Piece of trash.
Yeah.
Big Daddy
I just-
Tex, we call it.
regarding- About what I said earlier about Bray Wyatt. My point was, if the Undertaker with his character made his debut in 2020, with the creative structure in WWE today and the way we understand the world now with wrestling, it wouldn't have worked as well. Because back in 1990, you understand there's still the mystique, the business was still, the reality was still closed off to most of us fans. Like when he came out, yeah, we believe this guy was probably
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Alan brings up a great point, and we touched on it a little bit earlier. Like, we would have had to see The Undertaker every Monday night, every Friday night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
but
you become overexposed a little bit.
And you wouldn't have everything that made the Undertaker work at the time, right? Was this slow, methodic movement. You couldn't get away with that now because it has to be a 5-star match, right? Like you have to bring it in the ring. So,
so like an Undertaker later on did obviously have to do that, right? Raw and SmackDown, but those first few years before that happened, like really laid the foundation for that character.
Big time. So yeah.
All right, Alan, back in town, back in
Alan,
business,
you're back.
in business.
oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm I think my mom is also doing a video conference, so the internet's
Oh boy,
Oh,
she's
blaming
sucking
your
internet.
mom, eh?
It's
Your
like
mother.
it's like back in the day with the dial-up.
It's
If someone
so
picked up the
much.
phone and booted you off the
You don't
internet.
get unlimited internet in Mississauga.
no, I don't know. It's just maybe the bandwidth here is just a little weaker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Canadian bandwidth.
was I surprised that Bray Wyatt got released? I had to think about it for a few minutes, but then I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to talk about what he had been going through, what was rumored that he had been going through. So I was thinking there's probably a number of factors, but what you guys have been reporting in the last hour or so that's been coming out with the direction of creative and with the way he was a little more protective of his character. And I don't know if this is just an indictment for just one company, that the way
Oh boy, we really got to get some better internet out there in Mississauga, guys.
Yeah, what is wrong with Mrs.
Was it
Mom?
Rogers?
Rogers,
Rogers.
what, Bell? Can we do something, guys?
Yeah.
Feels like a business opportunity.
Okay, and he was getting just a really good point.
no,
Yeah.
Oh, we lost him, Alan.
This is not how we wanted to end the show here, guys.
We love
Is
you,
your Swiss
Alan.
Chalet there, Aaron?
There's Swiss Chalet. No.
Is the sauce getting cold? The hamburger bun?
No. My wife loves the sauce. I'm not a massive sauce guy, so
wow.
yeah. No, that's too bad. We lost Alan there on that. But Alan, next time you call in, just call from your phone, your cell phone, and then it'll be a lot easier for us to be able to get into the conversation on that. I will say this before we end the show. I will say, to Alan's point, and to Jeff and to Matt, your point, I think the question should be, if the Fiend debuted in 2020, and if he debuted in AEW versus WWE, where would he have been more successful?
I'm still going to say WWE for the production aspect of what the you were able to bring to that character above like just the wrestling part. I would say I'd still have to say WWE.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really tough to say. I don't even have an answer. I'm going to cop out here. You know, I don't know. And it's tough because that was also no fan era, right? Pandemic wrestling. How would have that played out? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Without the
that's a good point. That's a very
7-8
good point.
years of equity in the character behind it.
Who's the female wrestler in AEW who comes out? Is it Amadale? Is that her name? Abaddon.
Terrifying.
She's kind of like but imagine her in the Fiend. Like now I'm starting to be like, okay, you know, and all of it. Hey, there's I don't know.
There's
there's
Wyatt and Hardy history.
You know, there's a lot of spooky guys in AEW.
There's a lot that could happen.
There is, right?
Yeah.
And then, anyways, Brandon writes WWE 100%. He would have done better. So, this has been a good show.
Eh?
This has been a great show. So remember, like and subscribe. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like and subscribe to the channel. Every day there's new content coming out. The show rules. They just keep putting out more and more stuff. You're going to get more stories. If you go watch the show today from Saturday morning, the show, you'll be able to see Eddie Kingston on the program doing a Chew of the Week. Chelsea Green has done one as well. A couple of other folks have done it.
Johnny Silver, the Dark Order, Steve Buchanan. You got a lot of friends.
And then what we're going to do every Thursday, we do Behind the Show, where we take a look, be authentic, out of character, and we talk about true things in the world of professional wrestling. We do have guests on the show, other wrestlers and other organizations. We talk about how they, were successful, what worked, what didn't, just the real stuff that goes on behind the scenes that really no one knows or talks about. And I think it's a phenomenal show. And today we just came on because we were just talking about, we couldn't believe that this happened. And we really wanted to give the opportunity for folks to talk to two other wrestlers.
See what the community had to say.
I feel bad because I had a great time here today.
Yeah.
I just wish it was under, better circumstances that somebody didn't have to lose their job and their livelihood. And because I really put a damper on the end of the show.
I will say this. He is so talented. He's going to do fine. And he's, better than that. Wherever he decides to go next, he will be the one making that decision, and he will be able to be in control of his creative process. And he is so.
And that's
it's one of those things
you can't put a dollar sign on either.
Where if you felt you were being held back or handcuffed, now's your opportunity to go prove to the world, that you're everything you say you are.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so. Listen, everybody's got to tune in.
He's really writing us.
Everybody's got to tune in on Thursday because it's going to be a really good show. We are going to try to do our best, even to see if we can get, the former Bray Wyatt on the show, or something that will help us to explain a little bit more what is going on. Like and subscribe this show and this channel and get it out there because people need to know what's going on. We've been on the air for almost 2 hours. This has been amazing. And once again,
grassroots operation.
Mom and pop.
We need your help, right? Share it. You got to share it.
Build the community.
Word of mouth.
Yeah,
maybe we get a message board.
Ooh,
old school.
Ooh, a message.
We gotta get a Discord thing. That's what people do. But this is where we need people to. We need some help.
We need some help,
to offer help. We've got already
3
Victor,
buffoons over here
just trying to figure it out.
We have Thomas and a few other folks helping us out. All you got to do is email us and just offer your services just to help out a couple of wrestlers, and then some Shlomo over here who's in the marketing side. So the show rules at gmail.com. The email is there. Get us on Twitter. Get us on. We're everywhere, Facebook, everything else. And we would really appreciate that.
Just a request as we go. Brandon wants you to end the show
What's that?
With an "oh yeah" as loud as possible.
Are we done here, Aaron?
We are done, my friend.
Oh yeah!
Show rules.
Have a great rest of the weekend, everyone. Be safe.
Take it easy.